it's just completely surreal and not at all obviously when all of this happened it was a surprise to me, but it's just nothing like I would have expected. Like the degree of limitation that I have of communication with my brother and have had for the past 9 months is just unbelievable. Like, we only get a half an hour visit twice a month, and for the first 5 months we weren't allowed to physically touch, so there was like a bulletproof, like, thick glass wall between myself and my brother, and there was no explanation for this. The other 4 had completely different treatment. So we were really lucky. We brought this issue to the Irish government, and they intervened and were able to trace what was later called an administrative error, which is the reason apparently that we didn't get to physically touch my brother for 5 months while they were incarcerated. And this is all while Daniel was in 23-hour lockup and getting 1 hour of yard time per day, if that. So
and no access to proper books, right?
We had to go to the High Court, so multiple appeals
in Germany.
Through the legal system in Germany, just to get access to books, which even that higher court then finally conceded that is a basic right, under European rules. And ironically, they also mentioned the fact that when you're in pre-trial detention, you should be considered innocent because you haven't been found guilty of anything yet. And so really it was very important that the rules should be followed in that case. And we are quite frustrated at this point as well, because the Irish government is not representing Daniel's interests in our view. So opposition politicians have been pushing on this, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs has said in the Irish Parliament that unfortunately the Irish government's view is that they can't intervene, and they use this word intervene. And we understand there is a thing called the Vienna Convention of 1963, I believe, and under that countries don't intervene in each other's legal proceedings, but they absolutely can observe. And we are asking for the government to be observing this trial because we believe that international eyes need to be on this trial.
Are you surprised by the sort of the heavy-handed reaction to your kids, to your brother?
Absolutely. I thought this was a democracy, and I thought that human rights were respected in Germany, and they're clearly being breached left, right and centre, not just in the normal prison processes, but actually in the legal processes. And the intimidation in the court is something else. The intimidation on the public is unbelievable. We've been subjected to weird searches, like breast searches, really invasive. I've had a hand down the back of my trousers, inside my pants. Really strange things going on. And just within the courtroom itself, we've been told that we can't write because there's a high emotional charge, and we might use the pens that we were outside with together. We might use them as weapons inside. I don't know who against, unless it's the fully clad riot police, who are very intimidating, very large and fully kitted out with all kinds of gear and equipment, including, I can see, handcuffs. And they frequently don their exoskeleton gloves in intimidatory moments when we're supposed to be leaving the courtroom.
I was living in Berlin myself for a number of years, and I went to protests as well, to pro-Palestinian solidarity protests while the genocide was ongoing, and the reaction of the police against protesters is insane and completely disproportionate, and it's quite violent, and people would be arrested just for being there, or for saying something. So in that sense, I'm not surprised given the German context, but it is continuously shocking.
I've been thinking a lot about what my mother would say if I was involved in an action like this. She would, regardless of the politics, she would not be happy to see her son mixed up in a legal issue of this seriousness. How do you feel about your kids being accused of what they're accused of, having done what they allegedly have done? How are you as mothers thinking about this?
If I can respond to that first.
Yeah, of course.
I can say I think about the people in Gaza and what's happening to them. And I'm glad that our children have stood up to such tyranny and injustice. It's very brave. They put their futures on hold, and what they're experiencing is nothing like what Gazan people, or Palestinian people in Gaza are experiencing, and in the West Bank, let's face it. But this particular action was about a weapons factory that's targeting people in Gaza. So yeah, they're very brave, and I'm very, very, very proud of them.
I think what has happened for me on a personal level is that watching the way that the five are being treated by the German state has made it clearer and clearer to me what Daniel and I are close, and we would have spoken pretty much every weekend, and I would have heard in detail about what was happening on the demonstrations, and Daniel's increasing sense of frustration that doing things that are legally sanctioned is not effective at all, because the state is not interested in listening to protest. And so what has happened for me personally is that being at the sharp end of this experience now and watching, so like Nikki, I was also sexually assaulted by one of the search guards on entrance to the court on the 4th of the 5 days that there have been so far. The sense of violence and intimidation in the courtroom, despite bulletproof glass. I mean, the public is in a bulletproof glass enclosure as well. It's not just the five, and the lawyers and the judges are cut off from the others as well. So, you know, the sense of permanent violence that's meted out is really, really strong. And then watching just what the procedural violence of a judge who says no to everything, it's sort of made powerfully clear to us, to everybody involved in this, that the state has an agenda. The prosecutor even laughs at the defense, literally laughs at them while they're speaking. There's no sense of what you might call a rule of law or a judicial system that respects different perspectives and is interested in fact-finding or truth-seeking. It seems to me not to be about that. And the more I watch of it, the more I need to draw deep to try and understand how something like this can be happening in an EU country.
You're here in Brussels today. What are you hoping to get out of today?
We're hoping for support. We want trial monitoring. We're hoping that the five will be released on bail immediately, as the lawyer has already explained this morning. And due process within the trial. The human rights are respected, their rights to confidential communication with their lawyers, etc., etc.
Yeah, this trial needs to be observed. I think everybody who I know of who's come to watch it has come away from the day watching saying, I know you told me about it, but I didn't really fully believe it until I experienced it myself. We really need international eyes on this trial.
And are all three of you EU citizens, or just the two of you? I don't mean to. Sorry to touch a third rail there. But as European citizens, do you have faith in European institutions in regards to this crisis?
That remains to be seen now, doesn't it? Yeah.
We're giving them a chance.
They all need to be called into account.